premium cigar with smoked oysters from the dollar store, and I genuinely didn't expect this to work. That sentence alone should tell you how today's experiment is going to go. Some of these pairings will fail badly. One of them completely shocked me. Today's challenge is simple but risky. I gave myself $10, $1 store, and one premium cigar. If I can't find at least one pairing that genuinely elevates the cigar, not just survives it, then this entire experiment is a failure. I'm not looking for something that's okay. I'm looking for one pairing that earns a permanent place in my cigar routine. Sweet, salty, strange, and possibly regrettable. Everything is on the table. Let's find out if cheap food can create a gourmet cigar experience. The game plan is to build a full flavor experience from scratch using only what a dollar store offers. That sounds easy until you remember most of this stuff was never designed to share space with a hand-rolled cigar. My strategy is simple. I want foods that complement the cigar, not bulldoze it. Salt, fat, acidity, and bitterness can all work beautifully with tobacco. But at a dollar store, the line between interesting and instant regret is razor thin. Experts often recommend nuts, fruit, and dark chocolate because they highlight earthy, nutty, and cocoa notes in cigars. With that in mind, my first stop is the snack aisle, where optimism is high and expectations are cautious. The first thing in the basket is roasted and salted pistachios. They're oily, savory, and naturally nutty, which usually plays very well with tobacco. This feels like a safe anchor for the experiment, something reliable to set the baseline. Next, I find chocolate-covered espresso beans. Coffee and cigars are legendary together, so combining bitter espresso with dark chocolate feels like a potential home run. If this doesn't work, it says more about me than the dollar store. For a palate cleanser, I grabbed freeze-dried apple slices. They're light, crisp, and tart, which should reset the palate between richer pairings. Not flashy, but potentially very useful as the experiment progresses. I add a bag of classic sourdough pretzels for a simple salty crunch. Bread, salt, and texture can sometimes unlock hidden sweetness in tobacco. It's not exciting, but it feels like it belongs in the mix. Then I see them. A tin of smoked oysters. This will either ruin the entire experiment or become the reason this video exists. Smoky, briny, and unapologetically bold, they go straight into the basket. For my final item, I grab a milk chocolate bar with pistachio pieces. It hits sweet, creamy, and nutty notes all at once. On paper, it sounds promising. In practice, we're about to find out. At checkout, the total comes in just under $10. Mission accomplished. Now comes the real test. Let's light up the cigar and see whether this was clever shopping or a terrible idea. The cigar for today's challenge is a medium-bodied Robusto with notes of cedar, earth, pepper, and a subtle cocoa finish. My pick is one of my new favorites, the Crowned Heads Mil Dias Robusto. I chose this cigar deliberately. It's strong enough to stand up to bold flavors without steamrolling cheaper foods. The cigar is lit and smoking beautifully. Early puffs bring creamy cedar, light pepper, and a smooth, balanced texture. This is a perfect canvas for experimentation, expressive enough to react, but not so aggressive that it dominates everything. We begin with the roasted salted pistachios. First, a puff of the cigar, then a handful of nuts. They're crunchy, salty, and buttery. Another puff follows, and immediately something clicks. The salt amplifies the cigar's natural sweetness. The nuttiness blends seamlessly with the earthy core of the tobacco, and suddenly a cocoa-like note emerges more clearly. This isn't subtle. This is a genuine upgrade. That sets the bar. Rating 8.5 out of 10. Next up are the freeze-dried apple slices. By now, the cigar is settling into leather and earth. The apple is crisp and sharply tart. After another puff, the effect is immediate and clean. The apple doesn't create a new flavor. Instead, it scrubs the palate thoroughly. The cigar tastes like the first puff all over again. This is a reset button, not a headline act. Useful, clever, but limited on its own. Rating 6.5 out of 10. Now for the sourdough pretzels. The cigar's profile is steady with cedar, leather, and earth. A bite of pretzel adds crunch, salt, and the baked bread flavor. Another puff follows. Once again, salt boosts the cigar's sweetness. But this time, the bready notes pull out a toasted, almost graham cracker quality from the tobacco. It's not dramatic, but it's solid and comforting. Rating, 7 out of 10. We're about halfway through now, and I'm honestly impressed. This feels like a good moment to ask, what would you have bought with $10? What's your go-to budget cigar snack? Please drop a comment below, because I know you've got opinions. Next up are the chocolate-covered espresso beans. This is the pairing I'm most nervous about. If this works, it changes the entire experiment. The cigar is already hinting at coffee and cocoa notes as it deepens. The espresso bean is intense, crunchy, bitter, rich coffee wrapped in dark chocolate. Another puff follows, and suddenly everything locks into place. That is phenomenal. The flavors fuse so completely, it's hard to tell where the snack ends and the cigar begins. The coffee and chocolate melt into the cigar's profile, making it deeper, richer, and more luxurious. Rating 9.5 out of 10. Now, we try the milk chocolate with pistachio. The cigar is at its boldest, leaning into espresso and earth. The chocolate is sweet and creamy with a pleasant crunch. Another puff follows. This one struggles. The sweetness overwhelms the cigar's finish, and instead of blending, the flavors compete. The pistachio helps, but not enough. This feels like two conversations happening at once. Rating, 5 out of 10. And now, the moment of reckoning. The smoked oysters. Everything in my cigar instinct says this is a terrible idea. The aroma is smoky and briny. I take one oyster, then a puff of the cigar. I need a second. I am genuinely shocked. This works. The smoke and salt cut through the cigar's richness and leave behind a deep, savory, almost peaty character. It feels like pairing this cigar with a smoky scotch I didn't pay for. This is bold, intense, and absolutely not beginner-friendly. But it's real and it's unforgettable. Rating, 9 out of 10. The experiment is over and my palate has been everywhere. In last place is the milk chocolate with pistachio. Too sweet, too distracting, and not in sync with the cigar. Next is the freeze-dried apple. Excellent as a palate cleanser, but not strong enough to stand alone. In fourth place, the sourdough pretzels. Dependable, enjoyable, but not revolutionary. Third place goes to the roasted and salted pistachios. A classic for a reason, boosting sweetness and blending beautifully with the cigar's earthy core. In a shocking second place, the smoked oysters. Bold, smoky, and deeply savory, this pairing delivered one of the most surprising cigar moments I've had in a long time. But the winner, with a near-perfect score, is the chocolate-covered espresso beans. This pairing didn't just work. It elevated the cigar into something more decadent and more indulgent than the sum of its parts. This started as a $10 experiment. It ended with a pairing I'll genuinely use again. It proves you don't need luxury snacks to elevate a good cigar, just curiosity and a willingness to experiment. And now I'm wondering, if the dollar store can do this, what happens at a gas station, a convenience mart, or even Costco? Let me know where this challenge should go next. Thanks for joining me. Smoke curious, and I'll see you in the next one.